Shall we start?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if he's ready.
Okay. Uh, Good evening to everyone. Behalf of Universal Intellectual Trust, I am happy to welcome you all for our 16th UIT webinar series. This UIT webinar series on dynamic crystals. Uh, Before we go our today's event, just I like to say some few words about UIT. Universal Intellectual Trust in Viluppuram is one of the non-profitable trust. It is an organization which is elevated to promote education, research, and social works among the overall communities and create awareness about the current inventions and innovations happening in these all fields, on all science fields. Our key aim is to update the community with the latest news and make them to be part of mentioned fields. Today, in these all events, we are conducting many webinars. Some of the national and international conferences. We also published some e-contents, more than 100 e-contents. We created on YouTube channel about our UIT events. We have to publish it in our YouTube channel, and then we have website that is www.eittrust.in. So you can see our activities in our EIT websites also. Today, I am happy to welcome today's guest speaker, Dr. Durga Prasad KAROTHU, research scientist from New York University, Abu Dhabi, experimental research building, Abu Dhabi, UAE. We are happy to welcome and grateful to him for accepting our invitation and becoming a guest speaker of today's event. Now I request Dr. Kartiheyan Vaidyanathan, our coordinator, UIT coordinator, as well as research scientist from University of Glasgow, United Kingdom. Please welcome today's our guest. We can start off. Speak, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh. Today, I'm really proud to introduce our speaker, Dr. Durga Prasad KAROTHU, research scientist from New York University, Abu Dhabi. So, I want to introduce about his careers. Like, he started his career. I mean, he did his BSc from Andhra University and MSc from Pondicherry University, and then he joined the PhD program with IASC Bangalore under the supervision of Professor T and Guru Rao in the solid state and chemical unit. And he also cleared many competitive exams like CSIR, JRF, GATE in 2008 and 2009, and also he has cleared like civil service prelims, and uh, and later on he also got offer from is like the prestigious institution in Singapore like NTU for pursuing his PhD degree, and later he continued his research, I mean PhD career with IASC and the field of biological aspects of small kinesis, and to after his PhD he joined as a postdoc with Professor Panis Naumov with New York University Abu Dhabi as well, and then now he's currently as a research scientist in the same lab, I guess, and he has worked with many top universities as a research career. I mean, he did his research careers in top universities like SUNY, Buffalo, and Max Planck in Germany, and he has to explain about his awards. He has received a lot of research awards like Inspire Faculty Award and other awards. And to talk about his publications, I have seen that he has published many international publications in top journals like Nature Communication, JAX, and he has like over 35 plus publications. And it's so interesting to have him here with us. And today he will be delivering a talk on dynamic crystals. I'm really eager to listen to his talk. I once again welcome Dr. Durga Prasad to give his talk. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Karthikeyan, for your nice introduction. And also, I would like to thank the organizers for making this event. And a special thanks goes to Dr. Ganesh Anna, to whom I know since from my master's days from Pondicherry University. So it's very nice to meet you after so many years. So today, I would like to present some of my recent works on these dynamic crystals. Let me share my screen here. Yeah. Can you see my screen, right? You can see my screen, right?
Uh, yeah, it's loading.
Now?
Uh, Not yet.
Yeah, now it is.
Okay.
Okay. So, uh, as I said earlier, we work on dynamic crystals. So these are also known as jumping crystals, bending crystals, or
Uh,
mecanosalient. Sorry.
oh yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So before I go into the topic, I would like to briefly introduce this crystals topic to the audience. Then I will go to the topic as named it as like dynamic crystals. So I would like to say about the crystals, like how these are important in our daily life. So before I get into the topic, like we as a researcher, we used to travel a lot, of course, that is before Corona. So there is one such country like everybody wants to travel, that is known as United States of America, deliver our presentations or for the collaborations and all. So being as an Indian, if you have to travel to US, like you need to go through the visa process. Like before you go through the visa process, you have to fill the visa applications. Like they will ask you several questions: why you are going, where you are going, what is your work. But I would like to show few questions, like which is to my knowledge, at least, I would say they are horrible questions. Like the first one is, are you a terrorist? Yes, of course, we are not. And the next question comes: do you want to be part of one among them? Of course, not. So after completing this torturous process, like we have to go to the visa interview place, like we go usually in our country or where we are staying there. So the interviewer again asks you several questions: where you are going, why you are going. But there is one particular questions like everybody wants to answer. So that is, what do you work and can you explain? So this seems to be very straightforward questions. Like at least to if I say this to my colleagues, they said this is very straightforward question. So I answered to the interviewer like in my words, like I work with X-rays and determine how the radiation of X-rays are interacting with crystallized drug molecules. When I say this response to my scientific colleagues, they say you are perfect. I mean, there is nothing wrong in this. But the interviewer who interviewed me, he only knows these words which I highlighted in the red. That is called like X-rays, radiation, and drug molecules. Can you imagine what will happen to my fate after these three words? Like this is me. My application was rejected. So what do I need to do now? So again, I have to pay the money and prepare all the questions. This time, the most easy question became the difficult question. I went to the interview. Again, they asked the same question, but this time I told in my words, it in another way. So I work on how salt and sugar crystals are responding to light with 1 angstrom wavelength. So what happens now? This is me. I got 10 years visa. This is in front of Times Square, in 2019. So why I have told this story is like how big we are doing in science. Like it should be understandable to a common man in a simple layman's language. So today I would like to say about these crystals and dynamic crystals in a simple language. So before I get into this topic, what do I do in the lab? So basically, I synthesize the molecules, I crystallize them, then I use single crystal X-ray diffraction, powder X-ray diffraction. I collect the data by doing Fourier transform, like I solve the structure. For time being, I would say this is all trash. Forget about it. What I exactly do is this is what exactly I do. I mean, people in my lab, they used to say that I'm Captain America, and I also watch crystals with my eyes. I mean, they say that my eyes are X-rays. I can only see crystals, fortunately, not any other things. So in my real life, what exactly I do is, as you can see in the left side, the person who is actually looking the crystal at macro levels with his eyes. But what I do is, I watch crystals with X-rays, which are in sizes of few microns. The crystals are in few micron sizes. So are these the crystals are what is generally called like crystals? Crystals are nothing more than established batch of molecules. They should have some kind of properties which are known as sharp edges, but not always, clear faces, transparent, and also hard, but that is also not always. These are exceptions. And most importantly, that they should interact with light. I mean, I would put it in this way, that they should interact with some kind of light with specific wavelength. So are these crystals are new to layman? At least to me, they are not new. I wouldn't say that I know this field from since my childhood days. No, it's not like that. I came to this field like few years before. So if you look at, they are everywhere. You can find table salt. This is a crystal. Sugar, sucrose is a crystal. Snowflakes, they are also crystals. Quartz is also a crystals. Of course, diamond also a crystal. So they are also inside our body. So we stand straight because our body is made up of skeleton, which is known as a calcium phosphate crystals. And also we keep our balance just because like there are some crystals found in ears. Because of that, we keep our balance.
Excuse me, Durga.
Yeah,
Maybe in YouTube Live, no our PPT presentations. It's
Yes,
really.
only
your
voice.
slides are not visible.
Hmm.
Yeah, please,
So what
please.
should I do now?
I
Please
think
reshare the
one
same
more.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
It's working now.
No,
Mm, no. Please remove your slide and then load it one more time.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I think that is better.
Can you see my slides?
no, no, it is not. Still, it is in the blank.
Can you see my slides?
No,
No.
no.
Better you reconnect from the initial stage, from the StreamYard. Just disconnect the StreamYard and reconnect that same thing. At the time, you make it a possible.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We are
Can you see
here.
my slides? Can you see my slides?
Oh no, no, it's not yet.
So what should I do now?
Vaityanathan, Dr. Vaityanathan.
Yeah, I'm also not able to see the slide.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe some problems, internet problem or like that. Can you
Maybe,
reconnect? Yeah,
I mean, can you rejoin? Maybe.
rejoin in StreamYard again. Devices not connected. It's showing like devices not connected.
Ganesh, uh,
Hmm.
photo images are not there, right?
Mm, which photo image? Yeah, please reconnect your slides. Durga, Dr. Durga. Yeah.
Yes, now it is visible.
As part of the Global Network University project, which was started in 2008. And since 2 years ago, we also started our graduate program, a unique opportunity for graduate students to come and study in Abu Dhabi. We have very good students. The acceptance ratio is only about 2%. We have students from more than 70 countries and speak over 60 different languages to create
Sulfini crystals. One of the projects that I'm working on is about biomineralization, which is basically a phenomenon that takes place in nature. So we were able to biomimic this phenomenon in our labs.
I'm working on X-ray photocrystallography. Here we combine both X-rays and lasers to determine the three-dimensional structure of a small molecule in their photoactivated state. Structural understanding of photoactivated materials in solid state will revolutionize the data storage technology.
I'm working with scanning probe microscopy techniques to understand the fundamental mechanism of aggregation, and I'm working with scanning probe
Will revolutionize the data storage technology.
I'm working with scanning probe microscopy.
Don't know, it's not working.
His place. I think so.
Hello? Hello?
He is connecting. Maybe some internet problem. Please wait. Dr. Durga, can you hear my voice? Please connect your mic and camera and then you join. That is best.
Hello.
Yeah. Please connect. Please show
I
you.
will share.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. Now it's okay.
Okay.
Please show your PPT.
Yeah. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
can you move your slide?
Yeah, now?
They are inside our body. Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for the huge technical glitch. Yeah.
No
So,
problem.
I said crystals are also inside our body. Like as I said, like we stand straight because there are some crystals are available in the air. So that because of that, we stand straight. And also the teeth is the hardest crystal in our body. And also like magnetite crystals which are present in our brain for some biological importance, they are also single crystals. On the other side, like nobody wants to have it, like kidney stones are also crystals which are mostly present in our body. Uh, I used to say to my wife, like every time we used to fight about this diamond and gold, like how I see a diamond. I just, because I'm a chemist, I see everything in terms of chemical constraint. So diamond is just a polymer for carbon. Like I see like diamond and charcoal, both are made up of carbon. And when it comes to gold is also a metal just like any other metal such as silver and all. Like from now, like in few years, like copper will be the most precious element than gold. We used to have this some kind of informative portal in front of our university welcome center, just to show that the value of the copper, I mean, it will be higher in the future days. And also how crystals are impacting in our common life. Like this is the famous photo known as the frame diffraction frame 52. This is a diffraction frame of DNA crystals. DNA also can be crystallized. Actually, this experiment has been done by Rosalind Franklin, and later Wilkinson took that data and has shown to Watson and Crick, and those three got the Nobel Prize. Unfortunately, not Rosalind Franklin. On the other side, we used to eat chocolates, like most of them, not every day, like once in a while. But chocolate also can be crystallized. Like how many of us know that chocolate can be crystallized in 6 different polymorphs? But only one form can be used to make delicious chocolate. Like form 1 to form 4, they actually easily melt at lower temperatures. Whereas we see in a whitish powder chocolate that is known as form 6. Only if at all I have to make a chocolate manufacturer should only supposed to make this polymer 5, which melts at 33.8 degrees centigrade, and this is the only form which melts slowly and pleasant in our mouth. When it comes to detergent, once in a while we all used to wash the clothes. Like when we put this detergent, at least not the liquid ones, the powder ones, like we see different colors. Like sometimes we see orange kind of crystals inside, blue color crystals, white color crystals. But does anybody know like why these are there? Like they can use pretty much like white color or blue color, because we used to study in our school days, like about soft waters and hard waters. Like these crystals, they actually by using ion inter-exchange, they uh, uh, they convert the hard water to soft water. Because of that, we can use less detergent, and also we can avoid pollution, and also the energy consumption will be minimized. On the other hand, crystals also can be seen in this left-handed and right-handed combination. There is a famous case which is known as thalidomide. This compound can be crystallized in 2 polymorphs, like both the left-handed polymorph and right-handed polymorph. But when both were given to pregnant women, only one form is used to treat this insomnia, but the other form, earlier they thought the other form does not have any effect. Later they found out that the right form has actually induced birth abnormalities. So to commemorate that, to monument that tragedy, this is a famous monument in front of that pharmaceutical company, which shows the importance of this left-handedness and right-handedness in the pharmaceutical compounds. And also, crystals are mostly very much important in these pharma companies, because if you get a good quality crystal in terms of solubility, bioavailability, and tabletability, that drug actually eventually becomes blockbuster drugs. As you can see here, omeprazole, aspirin, ranitidine, these are actually based on crystallinity and their crystal physical properties. On the other hand, Crystals are also used in today's and tomorrow's technology. Crystals are omnipresent. They are everywhere. They play a fundamental roles in our day-to-day lives. These are silicon crystals which are available in these microchips. Uh, these are in photovoltaics. They are also like silicon crystals. Uh, and also these are mostly these silicon crystals are also used in these solar panels. Like this is how our today, I mean, this is how the crystals are used in our day-to-day life. Uh, uh, when it comes to our research, like we said, like dynamic crystals, like from where we are getting motivation to work on our dynamic crystals. As you can see here in this clip, this is the famous clip from Transformers movie. Like when you make them anger, they transform from one shape to another shape. So I would say like 50% motivation actually for our work comes from the movies. Of course, Transformers are not real; it only happens in graphics. But the other 50% motivation comes from this nature. As you can see here in this video, these are called exploding plants. When you touch with some kind of needle or force, they actually explode. These are mostly available in like very cold countries like Eastern Siberia and Russian countries. You can see here when you touch with a needle or force, they actually explode. This is called exploding seeds, where you can see here water droplets coming and touching the seed, and instantaneously they expel all the seeds. These are also available in mostly cold countries. And you can also see in this other video, these are called squirting cucumbers, because these all seeds, they actually strains get developed inside these seeds. To release these strains, when you touch with any kind of external stimuli, uh, the strain gets released and the crystals will expel from these cucumbers or exploding plants or seeds. This is another seed, like when we touch them with a hand, the seeds get expelled. So as I said earlier, like 50% is coming from movies and another 50% coming from the nature. Like, can we mimic these two phenomena in crystals? Why crystals? Most of us, like we know the salt crystals or sugar crystals or any compounds which we prepare in our lab, they can be crystallized. But when you crystallize a molecule, they are like dead bodies. Suppose you take a molecule, if you take NMR, it can perform all kind of activities. For example, if it has a triphenyl group, trifluoro group, or tertiary butyl group, it can show some kind of rotation. But when it comes to crystal, that's it. It's a dead body. It cannot move anything. So by using these two concepts, like the fantasy and the nature, can we mimic this kind of movement behaviors in these crystals? So that is where our dynamic crystals comes. So dynamic crystals, there are several stimuli are there. We used to work with uh, temperature, photo irradiation, and mechanical pressure. By applying these stimuli, if the crystals are showing any kind of response, those are called dynamic crystals. Uh, as you can see here, I would like to show an overview of some of my work before I go into the results. These are known as thermosalient crystals. In simple term, thermosalient, like we are heating the crystals. So in response, the crystals, they jump. So this process can be reversible or a single time. So you can do very few compounds shows this kind of phenomena. So these are known as thermosalient crystals. On the right side, you can also see like when the crystals jump, we want to know how much force it is generates during this thermosalient phenomena. So by using this piezochromic sensors and all, we can actually quantify the force generated by these thermosalient crystals during phase transition or during heat irradiation. On the other hand, crystals also, some of the crystals are also known for their shape memory behavior. This is a single crystal. This is a simple organic molecule which is known as terephthalic acid, which is mostly available in our plastic bottles. So this compound, when you are heating from one form to another form, you see the remarkable shape transformation. You can do number of cycles. You don't see any kind of deterioration in the crystal integrity or the crystal quality. On the right hand side, this is actually a shape memory behavior of these crystals. Like you take a straight crystal, you make it bent. When you heat it, it becomes straight. When you cool it, it comes to its predefined shape, which is a bent shape. So this is only one shape memory material available for organic compounds. Uh, on the other hand, crystals, as I said earlier, like crystals are known to be rigid bodies, but nowadays we can see many crystals, they are flexible in the sense they can be, you take a needle crystal, they can you can bend it plastically or elastically. Plastically means like you apply the pressure in a 3-point geometry. When you apply the pressure, after removing the pressure, if crystal does not come to its original shape, this is called plastic deformation. If the crystal comes to its original shape, that is called elastic deformation. So we are actively working on these elastic and plastic crystals. So what can be done with these elastic and plastic crystals? So as you can see here, we are trying to find alternatives for waveguides like silicon photonics. But silicon photonics, I mean, they are well established areas. We only wanted to work in the uh, disadvantaged areas where we can use these materials for replacing these silicon photonics. As you can see here on the right side, like you shine light at one end, you are actually seeing the light at other end. When it comes to organic materials, these materials can be used into two different type of waveguides. One is active waveguide, other one is passive waveguide. So let me tell you in simple terms what is called active waveguide, what is called passive waveguide. Active waveguide means like when you shine the light in the receiver's end, I mean the other end, if for example you shine light with red wavelength and the other side you are seeing at different wavelength, not the red, so that is called active waveguides. That means light is interacting with the material. But in the other end you are also seeing the same wavelength light, that means there is no change in the wavelength, so that is called passive waveguides. That means light is actually not interacting with the material, it is just become a passive. So we are also actively working on these active and passive waveguides, and also these crystals can be controlled, their spatial rotation can be controlled by using UV radiation. And not every crystals can be used as waveguides. I can see in the literature many people are showing that their crystals can be used as waveguides. But when you look at into silicon photonics, our day-to-day commercial devices.
Hello.
Yes,
Look up.
please.
Please cancel the StreamYard label, which is hidden one. Must be hidden. Your reference is not clear.
Okay, now.
Okay, right, fine. Thank you.
Okay. So uh, when it comes to the silicon photonics or optical waveguides, we need to test these devices in the telecommunication region, which is called infrared and far infrared. Very few crystals are known to be their optical transparency in the telecommunication region. So these are a simple amino acid compound. As you can see here, when you use telecommunication region, we don't see any kind of optical signal loss in that particular wavelength. So these molecules can be very easily usable in the real world telecommunication devices applications. And also other hand, like this is a simple organic semiconducting molecule. As I said earlier, not every molecule can be used as waveguide. Like this compound has a particular interest. At room temperature, this compound is known to be brittle, but high temperature, this compound becomes plastic. That means you can bend these crystals at high temperature. So these are known to be thermoplastic nature containing compound. But the interesting thing is we can also test these compounds into waveguides. But most important thing is that we are accepted that these molecules are not good for waveguides. That is what I said like earlier. All the molecules cannot be, all the crystals which are grown into needle shaped, they cannot be used as a waveguides. That means they have to be tested for their optical transparency in the telecommunication region. On the other hand, we also worked on this luminescence material, which are like thermochemy and bioluminescence material. Here, this is a single crystal. When you are heating it, you see uh, the energy is appearing in the form of like color change. You can see the bright fluorescence color is coming. So this material also can be used to create some kind of devices. And apart from that, I also worked actively working on photocrystallography, like where we in our BSc or master's days, like we used to study about these reactive intermediates, which is like carbines and elite. The only way to characterize these those reactive intermediates by using NMR or UV spectroscopy. But when you want to determine the three-dimensional structure of those material in the solid state, you need to excite the molecules, but with some kind of laser. So in our lab, like we combine with lasers and X-rays, we can determine the short-lived reactive intermediates in their crystalline structure. As you can see in the left side, this is a reactive intermediate. We have determined the three-dimensional structure by using single crystal X-ray diffraction. This is I do on regular basis. So as I said earlier, like my topic for today's presentation, I will be mostly focusing on this thermosalient and shape memory crystals. As I said earlier, thermosalient, like you give energy to a crystal in the form of heat, they jump. When you cool it, they has to come back to its original shape or position. So this is a simple molecule which is known as terephthalic acid. This can be crystallized into two different polymers, form 1 and form 2. Form 1 does not show any kind of behavior, but form 2 has very interesting properties. When you take these form 2 crystals, heat just above like 70 degrees centigrade, they actually jump. As you can see in the here in the video, the crystals are jumping. But what happens when you restrain this jumping? Like you place a thin layer of oil, on top of that you place the crystal. So crystals actually show remarkable transformation from one form to another form. As you can see here on the left side, this is some kind of parallelepiped shape, and it comes to near to sphere shaped structure, and this is reversible. You can do number of cycles. At least I did for 10 cycles. I did not see any kind of deterioration. You can also see here, this is the first cycle and this is the second cycle. You don't see any change in these two cycles. But if you look at here, this is a typical DSC, I mean differential scanning calorimetric thermogram for these type of crystals. We used to study like how a exothermic curve will be shaped and how a endothermic curve is shaped. But here you are seeing like some kind of sawtooth behavior or like disturbed behavior you are seeing here. This is mainly because of the crystals. When these crystals are placed inside the DSC crucible, the crystals actually inside the crucible, they jump or they transform from one shape to another shape within a time frame. So due to that, you see this kind of sawtooth behavior both while heating and cooling. The only difference between these two forms, this is a single crystal data for both form 1 and form 2. The major difference for these two forms is only the pi stacking. As you can see here, the hydrogen bondings are intact. The distance actually 5.038 angstrom changed to 3.779 angstroms during the phase transition. This is the only change happening during the phase transition. And also, as I said earlier, like when you irradiate this form 1, you don't see any change. Form 1, you heat it till 400 degrees centigrade, you don't see any change. But as form 2 has a remarkable properties. So these crystals also have some behavior which is known as self-recovery behavior. Like you take a single crystal of this form 2, apply pressure by using metal plate or a metal needle. In the left-hand side video, you can see by applying by applying pressure with a metal plate. After that, you do phase transition. That means you heat the crystals. They actually try to regain to its original shape. On the right side video, we have heavily damaged the crystal by using a needle, metallic needle. When you heat that crystal, it comes to it tries to regain to its original shape. Apart from the self-recovery behavior, these crystals are also known for, like we have identified this phenomenon, which is known as mechanosalient behavior. Let me tell you in a simple words, mechanosalient behavior. As I said earlier, these form 2 crystals can be heated to form 1 at high temperature, which is around about 75 degrees centigrade. When you cool to room temperature, they comes back to its original shape. You can do several cycles, but after few cycles, these form 1 crystals at high temperature, when we are cooling to room temperature, they should be converted to form 2 crystals, but they don't convert. So they will be as a form 1 crystals at room temperature. So what happens? These crystals are known for their metastability. That means when you touch these form 1 crystals at room temperature, they spontaneously they jump. So this is, we named it as mechanosalient behavior. As you can see here, these crystals are like form 1 crystals. After doing several heating and cooling cycles at room temperature, they are metastable. The moment you touch it, they jump. On the right side video, this is a high speed video. This is a form 1 crystals at room temperature. Like when you touch with needle, they spontaneously they jump. This, as I said earlier, we named it as a mechanosalient behavior. There are very, very few examples are there which are showing this kind of behavior. On the other hand, in my earlier slide, I mentioned that these materials are known for their shape memory behavior. Left-hand side video, you can see this is a famous compound, titanium nickel alloy. You take some kind of straight these wires. You can put it into different shape. When you put them in hot water, they actually comes to their original shape. But what happens when you take out from hot water, they becomes to their this predefined shape. That means they to the bent shape. The same behavior have shown by these terephthalic acid crystals also. You take straight crystal, define a shape, make it into a bent shape. You heat it, it becomes straight. When you cool it, they comes back to its predefined shape, which is a bent shape. We have also proposed the mechanism. We have actually proved the mechanism. This is a single crystal diffraction data where you can see in form 1, the molecules are oriented at some kind of tilt angle. When it comes to the bent shape of these form 2 crystals, in the bent shape, we have actually seen the bimorphism. That means we have seen both polymorphs are existing in a bent shape. As you can see in the upper layer, this is form 2. In the inner layer, that is as form 1. So due to this existence of polymorphs at the bent stage, and also when you look at the mechanical properties, that means form 2 is having higher hardness than form 1, and that means the form 1 is much softer in nature when compared with form 2. Due to these properties, the bent shaped crystal actually stays in that bent shape. And also we are actively working on thermosalient crystals. As I said earlier, this is another example which is known to be tetrachlorobenzene, which also shows phase transition at low temperature, as you can see in the upper video. These are crystals we are just heating or cooling. They jump. When you restrain the jumping, you can see vivid changes in the colors. These are reversible. You can do several cycles. And also I have explained the mechanism by using single crystal X-ray diffraction. In this case, the molecules are actually from one form to another form. There is a slight change in the tilting angles. Other than that, we don't see much changes in these forms. And I would like to show one particular example. These are called molecular rotors because this is a co-crystal which is made up of stator molecules and rotor molecules. Stator molecules means the molecule is actually intact, it won't move. Rotor molecules means you see that DAPCO molecule, which is nitrogen-based molecule, they actually show some kind of rotation. This rotation can be easily visualized in NMR. You take solution NMR, solid state NMR, you see the continuous rotation. The most interesting thing is at low temperature, the rotation is slower. At high temperature, the rotation is faster. But apart from this rotational dynamics, these crystals also have some kind of phase transition. As you can see in this DSC thermogram, when you heat just above the room temperature, these crystals show thermosalient behavior similar to that sawtooth behavior. You cool it to below room temperature, they comes to its reversible shape. So you can do several cycles. But most interesting thing is what happens. This rotation of this DAPCO molecule significantly decreases during the phase transition, either heating or cooling. And so when you heat these crystals, they jump instantaneously. And also these crystals are known for their phase specific behavior. That means you can see here the crystals are kept on different phases. So when you keep them on different phases, due to their phases with respect to the structural orientation, I mean the single crystal three-dimensional structural orientation, they show translational motion, rotational motion, upward motion. For example, you keep them on 0, 1, 0 phase, you can see the movement towards, it's like a translational motion, they move forward. When you keep them on different phase, you see upward motion and rotational motion. And we have explained these different kind of motions by using single crystal X-ray diffraction. On the left side, you can see here, this is the superimposed structures of both polymorphs at room temperature and high temperature. This is the only change between both forms. See, the red form is the room temperature form, green form is the high temperature form. That means this is a not exactly like distorted square structure becomes exactly perfect square shaped structure. This is the only difference between these two forms. Because of this change, the crystal is actually able to show translational, rotational, and upward motion. The more interesting thing is, after we published this paper, Professor Stoddart, who is a Nobel laureate in 2016, Chemistry has published a spotlight article on our work highlighting the importance of these dynamic crystals in achieving artificial molecular machines. And can these thermosalient or photosalient, can these crystals, I mean, what is the use of these crystals? We know we have explained these crystals by using single crystal X-ray diffraction and several other techniques, like why they are jumping, what is happening before jumping and after jumping. But can we use these crystals when it comes to any kind of application point of view? So you can see on the left side, these are simple thermosalient crystals. When you irradiate them, they jump. But when we coat these thermosalient crystals with some kind of conductive paste, like conductive coating, in this case, like we have coated with silver paste, and we can create some kind of electrical fuses. What happens, like when electricity passes, actually heat also will be dissipated. So due to this heat generated during this current flow, the crystals are able to change its form from one form to another form due to phase transition temperature. So as I said earlier, we coated with silver paste. When you irradiate, when the current passes, they jump. These are like, we are not proposing that we wanted to replace existing technologies, but we wanted to find some kind of alternatives and create some kind of devices by using these thermosalient crystals. And oh, sorry, the video was not played here. Yeah, in this case, another case, we are also actively working on these some kind of solids where you see enormous expansion and contraction. As you can see in the as you can see in the left side, this is a single crystal. When you heat them, they actually expands and contracts. You can do several cycles. We don't see any kind of deterioration. On the right side, these are same crystals. When you are cooling it, it comes to its original shape. How much is the shape transforming? Here, you take 1 centimeter length in crystal. In fact, we have grown 1 centimeter long crystals. When you heat them, it becomes 1.5. That means 50% to its original length. When you cool to room temperature, below room temperature, they comes back to its original shape. You can do several cycles. We did like several cycles. We don't see any change in the deterioration of these crystals. And also these are reversible for several cycles. And this is the mechanism between both forms. These are simple gonadinium based molecules, like gonadinium nitrate molecules. In form 1, like the gonadinium nitrate, like both gonadinium and nitrate, they're exactly on top of each other when it comes to the adjacent layers. During this phase transition, the molecules actually show some kind of rotation, like 60-degree rotation we see. Due to this rotation, the molecules show the crystal show enormous expansion up to 50% of its original length. So again, as I said earlier, when you cool it, it comes back to its original shape. So apart from this behavior, like we have also quantified the force generated by these crystals during the phase transition by using force sensor. Like we have a sensor, like we place on the crystal during the phase transition. We can actually quantify the force, like how much force has been generated by these molecules. We have tried 6 different sizes of crystals. We have observed from 1.34 to 49 millinewtons of force has been observed. And also in the literature, there are so many compounds which shows expansion and contraction. So far, our compound is the best. As you can see in the red bar, our compound is the best. But you can also see there is a 100% expansion showing compound, which is placed as a blue bar, which is 100% expansion. But the interesting thing about this compound, this is not reversible compound, and also the transition is not reversible, and also the crystals are only showing this kind of expansion by applying pressure. That means not by temperature variation. You have to apply the pressure, then it increases its length. It's a one-way reaction. So considering this kind of drawbacks, we would like to say that our compound is the best so far. So in conclusion, what I exactly want to say, like crystals are everywhere and the crystals are there for a purpose. Like as I said earlier, like these crystals are showing some kind of activity towards heat, light, and radiation. By using mechanical pressure, you can create some kind of kinetic motion, and also by using photo irradiation, you can also create mechanical motion. By using thermal stimuli, we can also create mechanical motion. That means everything can be connected between thermal, photo, and mechanical irradiation. With this, I would like to thank my group members and New York University, Abu Dhabi for fellowship, and all my collaborators. And once again, I would like to thank the UIT organizers for inviting me to give a lecture. I'm sorry for the technical glitch in between. And finally, I would like to say that life is more than your career, and who you are is more than simply what you are good at. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Yes, Dr. Durga Prasad, you did a good presentation with the various crystals. I am much more interested in the crystallography. So I am having some questions related to this. So
Yes, please.
first one is you are saying the active crystals and the passive crystals, right? So
Yes.
that identification is only based on the light source, right?
Yes. Yes.
So how much length must to be there for the crystals?
So length, actually, people have used few microns to few centimeters. So it's not, generally these are organic based materials. So there is a limitation. We cannot grow like few kilometers in length. We can
No.
usually we can
It may
go
be
into
in
few centimeters
centimeter.
only. Few
Okay.
centimeters only. And
Few
also, how do you
centimeters.
characterize? Yeah, and how do you characterize these molecules when it comes to waveguides? So usually what people will do is, like, we have this instrument called optical spectrum analyzer, where we can shine light at one end, and the other end we can actually place the device, and we can monitor and characterize the intensities and also the wavelength. But when you don't have this kind of device, you have to use some kind of mathematical equations, and also it depends upon the crystal length. So based on that, you can actually say that whether this is an active waveguide or passive waveguide. In simple terms, like, there is no change in wavelength, that is called passive waveguide. There is a change in the wavelength, that's called active waveguide.
Okay. When what is the application part of the active crystals and the passive crystal? Where we have to choose this kind of category?
So these crystals, see, these are actually fancy terms. These crystals, they can be, I mean, we are not exactly claiming it. These crystals can be used for micro optoelectronic devices, where they don't require like few kilometers of optical
No.
waveguides. They don't require like a
No.
simple few few
We are making.
microns.
No, we are making the. Sometime it may be active. Sometime it may be passive, right? So
Yeah,
where we
depending on
have
our
to.
requirement. Yeah,
Yes.
depending on our requirement.
Where we have to go for the passive crystals.
Yeah, passive in the sense, like, for example, when it comes to telecommunication regime, so where they don't want to lose any kind of signal, so that means there shouldn't be any change in the wavelength. So in such cases, passive waveguides are most suitable than active waveguides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are saying that a heating cooling process, there will be these changes in the crystal structure. So in
Yes.
that case, what is the important information regarding the interactions of your structures? So
Yeah.
that may be
So
the
so what
ring
happens?
interaction also there.
Yeah, most of these, because I can see from the literature, most of these compounds are actually one-way forward reaction. That means they are not reversible. What happens during the phase transition? The molecules show massive movements. When it shows massive movements, the crystal itself, it gets destroyed and it becomes amorphous. This cannot be used. But in our cases, the crystal does not show massive movements. Like, they only show very slight variation. So due to that slight variation, we can see this kind of reversible activities, and also the interactions, almost they will be the same, but very few changes will be there in the interaction when it comes to pi stacking interactions. When it comes to hydrogen bonding, halogen bonding, there won't be massive changes. There will be very minimal changes, because we need only minimal changes to have reversibility. If you show massive changes, then they are not reversible. We cannot use them for anything.
Right. So one of the question is regarding the reversible nature. So you are saying that red column and the blue column, it is just a reversible and irreversible category, right? So, if we are preparing one crystal, how to know about the reversible option is there or not? How to choose the idea?
Yeah, first thing is that when you get when you prepare a compound, like you should know that whether these molecules are showing any kind of response towards light or heat in their single crystalline nature. So when it shows any kind of nature, the first characterization is by doing DSC. In DSC, you can see both the exothermic and endothermic reaction peaks. You will see it. Once you see it, you have to do several, like same cycles. You have to do like 3-4 cycles, and if it's reversible, then you can do it. If it is not reversible, then you can.
So what kind of identification we must to get it from
This
thermal?
is from the DS. From the DSC, we have to see if it is a reversible or not. For example, if
So
it is
during the
phase
heating
transition.
and during the cooling, there must be changes, right?
Yeah, there has to be change in the phase transition. Like there is a phase transition, we have to see like if the phase transition is reversible or not.
What is the maximum temperature you may come across to get these
Organic
reversible?
materials, it depends upon our melting point.
Yes, I also. I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
So the phase transition should be below our melting point. So if it is obviously, like sometimes the compounds, for example, if you see in this terephthalic acid, the melting point is very higher. So we don't have any problem. But in some compounds, the melting point is just above like 50 degrees, 60 degrees. So it should be below the melting point. Then only we can see it. So it depends upon system to system.
Dr. Tupa, it's
Yeah.
very nice presentation, and I think this work is very great work. You are published many papers in Natural as well as JAX, Angiochem, so many good publications. So I really excited about your presentation and your growth as well as
Yeah, the
how
thing is that
you
giving
have been.
giving talk in online is very difficult. Like we don't have
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
one-to-one contact and eye-to-eye
yeah,
contact, and
yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
I'll have to worry like whether my slides are getting played, videos are coming or not, and
That is
also
okay. No problem.
yeah, it's very
That is
difficult giving talk
yeah,
in
yeah.
online. Yeah, anyway, it's good
uh,
that we have given this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a small doubt about
Yeah,
your
please go ahead.
presentation. That is because I am not well about your field, but just like some doubts. You used some many crystals in thermal active crystals, right?
Yes, yes,
If
yes.
you use some thermal heat energy, after
Mhm.
get its cooling, how it's change, it's come is same like crystals, or it's maybe some difference in on that crystals, if you
No,
use the
usually
heat and yeah. Mm,
no, when
yeah,
they are
please.
reversible, for example, if they are having the same, there shouldn't be. Sometimes what happens in our cases, like if it has a particular shape at room temperature, at high temperature, they will have some kind of different shape. But when you cool them, they will actually get the same original shape. So we don't see any kind of changes. So
once
we only see
once
some
you heat high temperature, after that you cool at
cool.
below
When we
room
cool it, we
temperature.
get to the original shape. That is called reversible phase transition.
How you choose these type of crystals, because
So since we are working on dynamic crystals, our first criteria is to check with the DSC. So for
okay,
every compound we synthesize, we prepare in our lab, we do DSC as a routine characterization.
okay, okay, that is a
We look
very
for
tough
phase
job.
transition behavior.
Yeah,
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 we
yeah,
look for phase transition behavior. If there is a phase transition, then we
yeah. Okay,
start observing the crystal morphology, crystal habit, and what is happening to the crystal. Then we go to the next characterizations.
okay, 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 thank you. I think this is a good.
One last one question.
Yeah,
So
please go ahead.
have you come across any inorganic materials?
Yeah, there are plenty. There are plenty. Because actually, I don't have time, so that's why I didn't
No,
present.
the
I
thing
only
your question.
presented 2-3 molecules here, but we have more than 30 to 40 compounds.
Okay, give you a suggestion as per my question. So we
Yeah.
are doing the nanoparticles, right? So just like metal oxide, TiO2 or zinc oxide. So when we are going for the co-catalyst, we are making the copper doped TiO2. Okay. So is there any possible to analyze such a case as per the your technique? So any
Yeah,
other
see,
changes
if you
within
want to
that one
see
or not?
if your material is showing any kind of response towards the thermal stimuli, like means when you are heating, if it shows any kind of response, first thing you have to do the DSC.
Okay.
You do DSC for your compounds. Like for DSC, you only need few milligrams, like 1 milligram or 2 milligrams. You do for your nano samples. If it shows any behavior, definitely you'll see a signal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, can we able to examine for the nanoparticle also as per your?
Yeah. Actually, there are some compounds actually which are known as spinels, right?
Yes.
They also have this kind of behavior. They are grown into nano and micron sizes. They show this behavior.
Okay.
But they are actually showing one way. I mean, they are not reversible, but they actually jump. They are very well known. Yeah, inorganic materials. And also in ceramics, also it is there. I have seen in ceramics.
In the ferroscide, there may be the possible.
Perovskites, I don't know. I don't know yet. Even if
Okay,
it is there, I would be doing it, right?
Okay.
I don't have to. Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to interact with you. I saw your CV and your all the details. You are a student to Guru Rao sir, right? Professor Guru Rao sir.
Yes.
Okay. Happy to interact with you. All the best for your future activity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you to Ganesh Anna for
Thank you
inviting me
so
for
much.
this. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.